Welcome back to the Culture of Currency, here for another Wall Street Journal market report. Crazy week, as you know, if you've listened to the news. Markets are crazy. Silver is crazy. Gold is crazy. We'll shuffle all that out here on this channel, but I wanted to remind you that we are sponsored by APMEX, the American Precious Metals Exchange. Why? Because they have the best selection of silver bullion coins, and I am a silver bullion connoisseur. So when it comes to cool, unique pieces, they do always hit the spot. In fact, just to give you an idea, this right here is a proof Australian swan. Beautiful packaging right there from the Perth Mint. It is proof and it is extremely low mintage, and I got this at the same price as a normal swan. Because they do have some of the most fantastic sales I have seen in the marketplace. When it comes to cool, unique pieces, they never disappoint on that level either. Beautiful piece right here. And right here, we have a recent pickup, the Transfiguration of Christ. And I thought that one a nice one here, as we have Emmanuel Macron, I don't know if he's former president. I know he was going out of office, but maybe he's still the president, walking the grounds of Notre Dame Cathedral after it had been burned. The roof needed to be replaced. And so very, very rewarding time for France. That is the icon of their skyline up there with the Eiffel Tower. So it is nice to see that the Notre Dame Cathedral is back, folks. So if you're ever in France, go on by that cathedral, drop a few coins in the box for donation so that they can maintain that, because architecture, in my mind, especially older architecture, is so iconic to the human condition and a reminder of where we have been. It's one of the downfalls of America, in my mind, to have such a smattering of expansion where basically all of the buildings that are 1940 and beyond are just squares with, mauve colored brick. So if America had a beautiful tapestry of architecture where buildings around any city center looked different, felt different, had some beauty to them, I think it would be really, really cool. And it'd be a big sense of pride within our nation. So that being said, let's go ahead and walk into our markets. Like I said, if you had paid attention to the news this week, you probably know some of the things I'm going to tell you, but you probably won't know a couple of the things. So let's go ahead and dive in. All right, as always, let's start here with the Dow Jones Industrial. Right here, we know we're soaring 46,315. That is sitting there at 172 points in the positive, 37 right there, 0.37% growth. It is an all-time high, folks, as you can see reflected at 919. Let's take a look at the roller coaster. Looks like we're heading in the right direction, folks. Very, very big news. We know that the rate cut happened. A lot of people basically say that that's part of this. We see the trade day happening about right in there, and then it just went up from there as that happened this week. We've got the S&P not far behind. We have 32 points gained, as you can see, all-time high right there on the 19th as well. Roller coaster looks fine and fancy, my friends. And then we have the NASDAQ. Look at this one. 160 points. Almost 0.75 of a percentile. Yes, all-time high as well. And that, usually this is the one that seems to be a bit more volatile. This one has been on more consistent of a rise than the other two. Very interesting stuff there. So obviously, the expectation is that the rates will continue to drop over time and that this will enter a strong market period, which, sometimes can affect metals, but we shall see on that. How about internationally? There's some micro trends and macro trends here to pay attention to. A micro, look at Canada, almost a full percentage point higher. Yay, Canada. So that means go out there and buy some flannel and some syrup and say thank you, Canada, because they're doing all right, which is a good thing for our partners to the north. we see in the Eurozone, I've just highlighted some key points. We've got negative 1.5 down on Denmark. Denmark has had a lot more volatility recently, and we know that they have had a couple of interesting pressure points, one being the United States, the other being the Eurozone stuff. So we'll see while they level out, but I have noticed them move probably more negative than positive in recent days, but definitely took a chunk this week. South Africa back on the good side of things, as you can see, 65 right there. That's 0.65 of a percentage point. Gained back for the rand. Good stuff. Switzerland, look at that one. Or sorry, not Switzerland, Turkey. Turkey was an outlier last week, negative-wise, and now we are up 2.23%. That's a huge swing. And honestly, though it seems like they're booming if you just looked at this week, I think it's more of just showing how volatile things can be over in Turkey. As we know, it's right next to Russia and has been a big-time negotiating place for things within the Russian-Ukrainian war. And so maybe that's a stability factor that they know that they can house peace at times, but they are geographically in a pretty hot situation there. So interesting. Now, here's a macro trend. Put a little arrow down right here. As you can see, look at the Asian countries. Basically all down with the exception of Australia, which is considered in this market, which was just a hair positive. And so that's interesting because normally we see people on both sides of this equation equally, but this has been a pretty strong drop for most of the Asian region. So that's an interesting little side note. So how about our friends over in the silver sector? How are they doing? So as you know, silver, because a lot of us follow that, has rose this year another 1.95%. That's 83 cents on the dollar. It puts us at $43.33. That is a giant jump. I felt like the last time I blinked, it was at 41, and here we are at 43.33, which is just phenomenal. When we look at the dollar, this is interesting here. Look what the dollar did. The dollar actually did something good. It gained some strength there, which is a good thing. We should want that. So the dollar in good shape, silver in good shape. A lot of times those move in opposite directions, but I'll take it. I'm all about the dollar being strong. Then we look at our market. The S&P and Dow Jones also very strong, but silver just beat them by a nose. Very, very solid week for silver. We know the markets are in a good shape right now. It's a good time when all things are floating at a higher level. So now that you know that, what about gold? Gold, $3,699. It gained almost $40, $38.72, and that is 1%. 1%, so not quite what silver did. So when we see gold, this doesn't happen often, folks. Against the U.S. dollar, the U.S. dollar won. Don't tell anybody out loud. It's weird to say in public, but it did. The U.S. dollar beat gold. What about the Dow Jones and the S&P? As you can see right here, markets beat gold as well. So gold sat and got 1%, but it still wasn't the winner of the day, though it still did win. So everybody won. This was not a Olympic marathon that we are running here. This is something where we're on a team and we all went across the line. And this is one of those rare weeks where we have done so. So that is a very rewarding thing to see. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. And please remember to stay classy and current with the culture of currency.